Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
What we find is that because these elected officials have no control over their own election, we found out on Friday that the Secretary of State, she responded to some of our discovery requests. She admitted that she has no control over the source code, which state law requires that she keep in escrow. And she also admitted that she has no idea how any of these machines work or operate or how they function. So you have a company like Dominion that's able to set up this system where it convinces these states to sign these onerous contracts, essentially turning over control of the state elections to Dominion. And then if you want to find anything out about the election, you want to audit the election, they send you to the Election Commission, where they actually have people put in place that are former employees of Dominion. And that's some of the problems they're running into out in Arizona, is the people who they say are certified to run the election are actually these former Dominion people. So after the election closes, we've discovered that built into the system is the ability for someone to reopen the election, put more ballots into the tabulator, basically what we call ballot stuffing, and then retabulate, print out a new tabulator tape, but backdate that tape to November 3rd, and walk out the door with anyone knowing they were back in that tabulator. And we see that through some of the remnants that are left in the forensic audit or forensic images that we got. First, they've never had the authority. We're the only case that ever got a forensic image. But yeah, no one's ever had an interest within our elected body. These legislators, they don't know what they're doing when they sign bills appropriating the monies to bring these machines in, because none of them understand these machines. They just bring in a company like Dominion or ES&S or Hart and just put this into the system, make people vote on these systems, and they have no idea how they work. So this is the first time you see people actually getting into the source code, and that's what we're doing. We've got the forensic images so we can do a deep dive into understanding how these machines really work. And they never expected anything like this to happen. And I tell you right now, these people are shocked at what we're doing and what we're discovering.
You're fired. President Trump axing the top leaders on elections after the Supreme Court ruling that allows U.S. presidents to fire federal workers at independent agencies for any reason, not just for cause. The White House wiped out the entire 4-person federal election panel that's designed to help local election officials get ready for the November midterms. The White House says the president reserves the right to remove anyone that may not be aligned with his goals.
Welcome back. It is Monday, and the man that was on that is Matt DePerno. Obviously, you don't know who Matt is. Matt was the one that led to the Antrim County report that was done by ASOC. It was the beginning of all of the looking into the election fraud, and we have zero trust in government. President Trump fired the EAC, the election commission, and he should have, on the heels of a Supreme Court ruling. And but we know that the elections are kabuki theater. We know that they are fraudulent. We know that none of the information that they put in front of us, none, related to the outcome and who is in certain positions of trust and authority, we know it's not real. We know it's not real. We know we don't have clean voter rolls. We know that the machines are able to flip votes. We know that the mail-in ballots have no chain of custody and that there's no transparency. We know all of these things. And the left would have you believe that we're just crazy. They use words to dog whistles. You're an election denier. You're a conspiracy theorist. But there is zero time that is taken. Zero time, zero, absolutely zero time that is taken to look underneath the cover. There's not even a morbid curiosity. And more importantly, not having a morbid curiosity is that the dog whistles come in with such, show us the evidence. Show us the evidence. Put it below. Show us the evidence. The evidence is so dramatic, so big, that you'd have to be a fool not to see it. And that clip was from 2021, excuse me. You know, we're at the point now where a vast majority of America just wants the election question to be over. And the only people that are fighting it now is Congress, is the people that were selected, not elected. And they are so deathly afraid of us moving things around and taking back what was never theirs to take, the dignity, the soul of our nation, that they can't fathom the idea that we would get to a place where we could have free and fair elections that were transparent to every American. Much like getting rid of the grift and graft that has come over our nation, it's there every day. But we're not allowed to talk about it. And then stepping in the gap to take over what was never theirs to take is the judiciary that acts as henchmen to persecute and prosecute and take away from the people the ability for them to have a voice. This is not a free country. We are not in a free country. There is a lack of accountability. There is a lack of consequence for really bad people, and we should be hanging those that committed treason against the United States. But it's getting hot enough that, frankly, we have to. If the American election system were a bank, I want to show you what would happen. Let's go ahead and play it.
Are you the manager?
Yes, I am. How can I help you?
Well, you can tell me what happened here. It looks like a big robbery.
Oh, no, we don't have those. As you can see, we are a completely secure bank. But look at the wounded customers. The vault door is open. There are bullet holes in the furniture and ceiling. There's a bloody handprint over there. And here's a stack of bills, $10,000 just sitting on the floor.
Well, sure, but banks are complicated. Most people don't understand what goes on inside. Anyway, all this stuff is completely normal. Spontaneous pockmarks, guys faint every once in a while, a jam handprint, not blood, money lying on the floor. For a bank, there's going to be money everywhere.
What about this? Surely the vault was robbed? Look at you admit, look at this mess.
No, our tellers aren't janitors, you know. This is all normal.
How do you know how much money you have when it's all lying around like this? It's all in our computers. Do you mind if we take a look to be sure the amount in the vault matches your records?
Absolutely not. At Completely Secure Bank, we'd never violate our customers' privacy. That's because at Completely Secure Bank, we've got integrity. It's in our name.
Completely Secure Bank, the friend you can trust. Secured is our middle name.
Well, does that do it for you? Completely secure bank. Only the stakes are higher because when you rob a bank, you rob a bank. But the American people are the bank. And the robbing of the American people has gone on for far too long by the same people who stuff the faces of NGOs and, move money around inside the government and act with impunity and feed each other at the expense of the American people. But it's not just the people in government that feed themselves. They also feed illegals, and they feed the Taliban and CARE and Islamists and anybody that would want to destroy the American ideal. Those are the people we feed first. Do we take care of veterans? No. We talk about the fact that we're grateful for veterans, but we don't take them, and we don't take care of them. I wrote this article and it's in Substack. Go ahead and drop if you can, drop the link into all the different channels. I wrote this Substack. It took me a long time to write it. And it's quite long. It's quite long, and I don't know how I could succinctly tell the story any clearer than this. Well, let's go ahead and put it up if we could. It's 50 state fraudulent elections, proof versus evidence. The system put Tina on trial because she exposed the one thing it cannot survive, public inspection. See, we've never even talked about the stuff that Tina was able to uncover. But I put this out a few days ago. Some of you got a chance to read it. And let me just kind of run through it as quickly as I possibly can. I want there to be a record of what I wrote. The American people have been told over and over to trust institutions that have not earned that trust. Not Republican institutions, not Democratic institutions, not federal agencies, not state bureaucracies, not corporate vendors, not partisan prosecutors, not judges who hide behind procedure while the public asks basic questions, not media outlets that decide who advance who the villain is and then write every story backward from that conclusion. That is the frame through which the Tina Peters case should be understood. The establishment versus Tina Peters is an election denier who let an unauthorized person access Mesa County, Colorado election equipment. That is a sanitized institutional story. The people's version is different. Tina Peters was a county clerk who tried to preserve evidence inside the black box election systems. The machine responded by making an example of her. In this interview, Peters is not a criminal. In this view, Peters is not a criminal. She is an American whistleblower, an American hero, Gold Star mother, public servant who became a political prisoner because she challenged the election priesthood at the high point in its most vulnerable source systems, logs, builds, backups, and machine records. President Donald Trump's pardon of Tina Peters is therefore not a side note. It is a political and moral judgment. Colorado officials and legal commentators argue that a presidential pardon cannot erase a state conviction. That legal fight is its own issue, but the pardon matters because it is plainly what millions of Americans have already believed. Peters was punished not because she endangered democracy, but because she embarrassed the people who claimed to own it. Mainstream coverage of Tina, this talks about gateway pundit and the importance of non-establishment sources. Mainstream coverage of Peters usually starts by labeling her before explaining her claims. That is not reporting, that's a narrative control. Sources such as the Gateway Pundit have covered the Peters and Mesa County story from the opposite direction, not as a story about a rogue clerk, but as a story about a clerk who exposed election system evidence that officials and vendors did not want extraordinary citizens examining. That perspective matters because establishment outlets often treat institutional denials as proof, while alternative outlets are at least willing to ask the forbidden question. What did the machine show before the government and vendors regained control of the narrative? This article takes this question seriously. The Mesa County reports were the real threat. The central issue in Mesa County was never merely who entered a room or who copied a drive. The central issue was what the copied records showed. Peters' supporters point to the Mesa County forensic reports as evidence that election system data logs and records were altered or removed during a trusted build. One report describes thousands of log files allegedly deleted during the process that concluded that further investigation was needed to determine the full scope of possible noncompliance with election record mandates. That should have triggered curiosity, real curiosity, bipartisan curiosity, federal curiosity, media curiosity. Instead, the system became incurious with remarkable speed. The official response was, let's publicly reconcile this before and after images. I'm sorry, the official response was not, let's publicly reconcile the before and after images. It was not, let's bring in mutually agreed upon experts. It was not, let's release the build documentation, logs, hash records, vendor communication, chain of custody materials, and all audit preservation procedures. It was isolate Peters, prosecute Peters, discredit Peters, and make Peters radioactive. That is the tell. When a system is honest, exposure helps it. When a system is rotten, exposure becomes the crime. The Biden-era political machine did not need to prove every critic wrong. It only needed to make the cost of asking questions unbearable. That strategy was chilling and effective, threaten professionals, intimidate clerks, label whistleblowers as extremists, treat evidence preservation as tampering, treat technical questions as conspiracy, and make sure no future county official would dare do what Tina Peters did. Colorado's Democratic establishment, including the Secretary of State's office, prosecutors, and allied media voices, turned Peters into a warning label. The message to every election official in America was unmistakable. If you touch the machinery without permission from the people who control the machinery, you will be destroyed. That was not election security, that is institutional self-defense. And this gets to where we have a true audit is not a recount of contaminated pile. The same logic appears in Maricopa County, Arizona. After the 2020 election, the public was told that the audit confirmed the count. But a count match count process is not the same as a real audit. If the question is whether the ballots in the pile were lawful, then counting the pile again does not solve the problem. A true audit asks, were the voters real? Were they eligible? Did each voter cast only one ballot? Can every mail ballot be reconciled to a lawful voter without relying on blind trust? Were ballots duplicated correctly? Were signatures cured lawfully and consistent? Were chain of custody records complete? Were machine logs preserved? Were tabulators, adjudication systems, and election management systems independently examined? Were source systems inspected by adversarial experts? That is an audit. Anything less is a public relations exercise. Maricopa became a national lesson in how officials use the word audit to close the case without answering the deeper question. Did the system verify voters' legitimacy, ballot legitimacy, custody legitimacy, and machine legitimacy from end to end? Georgia, the public saw what officials told them not to see. Again, another example. Georgia remains one of the clearest examples of the trust crisis. The public saw late-night ballot handling at State Farm Arena. The public saw confusion about observers. The public saw containers of ballots moved and counted in the process ordinary citizens could not independently verify. Officials insisted everything was normal. Fact checkers insisted the public misunderstood what they saw. But that is exactly the problem. The people should not have to take a government narrator's word for what happened in the middle of the night. Election procedures should be clear, observable, and documented so that no narrator is needed. Georgia's deeper weakness was not about the video, it was about the inability to prove in a simple public way that every counted ballot matched a real lawful voter. That no phantom ballots entered the count, no fraudulent ballots were missed into anonymous stacks, and that ballot secrecy did not become a shield against accountability. Once ballots are separated from envelopes, the system protects secrecy. That is necessary. But if the pre-separation verification is weak, rushed, hidden, or politically managed, then the secrecy also protects fraud. That is the uncomfortable truth officials do not want to discuss. Let's talk about Tarrant County and the nothing to see here reflex. Tarrant County, Texas, this happened in 2024, raised another version of the same concern. 2024 claims and testimony circulated about major issues with election systems, vote flipping, hacking, vulnerabilities, and technical problems. Officials dismissed many of these claims as voter error or misinformation. Here it comes again. Maybe some were, but that answer is not enough. When citizens allege election system hacking or machine vulnerability, the proper answer is not trust us. The proper answer is public technical disclosure, system logs, incident reports, patch records, vendor communications, network diagrams, equipment chain of custody, adjudication reports, and independent expert review. The public does not need another official statement. The public needs evidence. Tarrant County also reminded us that local government systems are not immune to cyber attacks. Tarrant County Appraisal District suffered a ransomware attack also in 2024. That was not the election system, but it destroyed the fantasy that county systems are somehow beyond compromise. If county agencies can be hacked, election infrastructure deserves more scrutiny, not less. This is where we get to the mail-in votes. By the way, when I wrote this, I wrote it as simple as possible. It's impossible when you go through this process to come to any other conclusion other than we do not have free and fair elections, not in any of the 50 states, whether we're talking about ranked choice voting or otherwise. Let me continue reading. Mass mail voting is sold as convenience, but convenience is not security. A ballot cast in person is cast in a supervised environment. A ballot mailed to a home is cast in an uncontrolled environment. The state cannot know whether the voter filled out it alone, whether someone pressured the voter, whether someone harvested, or whether someone intercepted, or whether the voter ever even saw it. Officials point to signature verification. That's not enough. Signature matching is subjective. It's inconsistent. It's vulnerable to pressure, volume, and human error. And once the ballot is removed from the envelope, a fraudulent ballot that slipped through usually cannot be pulled back out. Colorado proved the problem when they stole mail ballots was fraudulently filled out and 3 were counted. Officials said most were caught, but most is not the standard. If fraudulent ballots can enter the count and become unrecoverable, the system is not secure enough. In closer races, a handful of ballots can decide everything. They're actually not that close. American people are pretty staunch on the fact that they don't stand on the side of team evil. No ID, weak rolls, and the phantom ballot problem. This is where you get into the thing that I built in 2021, the late 2020, early 2021. Election integrity begins with voter identity. Without reliable voter identity, every other safeguard weakens. No document voting, non-photo ID systems, same-day registration, bloated rolls, inactive registrations, automatic registration, mass mail ballots, and weak list maintenance all create the same risk. Number of ballots can drift away from the number of verified lawful voters. Officials often say that the bloated rolls do not prove fraudulent votes. True, but bloated rolls create inventory for fraud. A vulnerability does not need to prove it has been exploited before it deserves to be closed. If a bank left thousands of inactive accounts open, no serious auditor would say there's no problem unless you prove the account was stolen from. The auditor would say a controlled environment is broken. Election rolls should be treated the same way. Again, just trying to look at this from a logical standpoint. Ranked choice voting makes the result harder to see. And you have people that are running around, say they're really smart, that want to treat Americans like slaves. Ranked choice voting is another method that shifts power away from the ordinary voters and towards system designers. In Maine's 2018 congressional race, the first round leader did not win after ranked choice redistribution. In Alaska's 2022 congressional race, ranked choice voting helped produce a result many voters found counterintuitive, especially since Republican voters split between candidates and ballot exhaustion affected the final outcome. Defenders of RCV captures voter preference. Critics see an opaque system that delays results, confuses voters, and creates outcomes that are difficult to explain without charts and rounds. The people should not need a seminar to understand who won. Source code. The most revealing fight is over source code and machine transparency. If voter systems were secure, why can't the public inspect the code? Why vendors are trustworthy? Why must their system remain proprietary black boxes? If machines cannot change outcomes, why are officials so hostile to independent forensic reviews? If trusted bills are routine, why not publish the full before and after record? If logs do not matter, why are citizens punished for preserving them? The answer is obvious. The election system depends on a layer of hidden trust. Trust the vendor, trust the certification lab, trust the Secretary of State, trust the county, trust the machines, trust the audit, trust the judge, trust the prosecutor, trust the media. No. Republic should not run elections on trust. It should run them on proof. California and Colorado laws that protect the system from the people. California's response to Shasta County was instructive. When local officials tried to move away from machines and toward hand counting, the state restricted what counties could hand count when counties could hand count ballots. Supporters said hand counts are slow and error prone. Critics say the real issue, the state stepped in to prevent local voters from choosing a more observable process. Colorado showed a similar pattern through persecution, machine secrecy, and centralized control. When Tina Peters preserved system images, the state did not respond with transparent public review. It responded with prosecution. The pattern is unmistakable. When voters want more accountability, law and procedures appear to make accountability harder. You cannot inspect the code. You cannot preserve the record without permission. You cannot hand count at scale. You cannot tie ballots back to voters after separation. You cannot get the logs. You cannot get the source systems. You cannot question the result without being smeared. That does not favor the people. It favors the machine. Again, very simple. The sinister nature of the whole. Any single issue can be explained away. No ID, officials say fraud is rare. Mail ballots, officials say signatures are checked. Late counting, officials say accuracy takes time. Machine secrecy, officials say vendors are certified. Deleted logs, officials say they were not legally significant. Password leaks, officials say there were other safeguards. Ranked choice confusion, officials say voters like options. Block subpoenas, officials say requests are too broad. Peters prosecuted, officials say she broke the rules. But add it all together and the picture changes. Not a system designed for public verification. It's a system designed to demand public submission. The sinister part is not that every actor is corrupt. The sinister part is that every institution behaves as if transparency is a threat. That is why Tina Peters matters. She crossed the line the system most aggressively protects. She tried to preserve and expose the machinery. For that, she was turned into a warning. But to millions of Americans, she's not a warning, she's a signal. She showed us the real forbidden act in the modern American elections is not fraud, it is looking too closely. The reforms are obvious. They should not be negotiable. The county does not need a more complicated election system. It needs a simpler one, controlled by the precinct level, visible to the people in the room, and impossible to hide behind software, late arriving ballots, or centralized tabulation. Require photo ID for every voting method. Require proof of citizenship at registration. End machine voting, no black box tabulators, no ballot marking devices as a default, no proprietary election software deciding public power behind a curtain. Elections should be conducted with hand-marked paper ballots that ordinary citizens can understand, observe, and audit. End mass mail-in voting. Mail ballots should be reserved for active duty military voters overseas under existing military and overseas voter protections, and citizens who are genuinely incapacitated and cannot physically vote in person. Convenience is not a significant reason to move the ballot outside public custody. Ban ballot harvesting and third-party ballot collections except for tight, limited, documented assistance for the incapacitated voter category above. Count votes at the precinct level. A precinct is where the people can see the process. Ballots should be counted locally in public before they are transported anywhere else. Precincts totals should be posted publicly at the precinct before transmission to county or state systems, creating a public record that cannot be quietly altered upstream. Require paper poll books or publicly auditable poll book records that reconcile with the number of ballots issued and counted in that precinct. Require same-day precinct reconciliation. Number of voters checked in, number of ballots issued, number of spoiled ballots, number of provisional ballots, number of counted ballots, and number of unused ballots. Make any remaining election technology software independent and subject to independent source code and build process review. If officials assist on technology anywhere in the process, the public must be able to verify that that technology cannot secretly change the outcome. Preserve logs, system images, ballot images, cast vote records, precinct reconciliation, sheets of chain of custody documents. Publish ballot accounting before certification. Require true audits and not recounts masquerading as audits. Make election officials personally liable for destroyed records, hidden failures, and false public assurances. Protect whistleblowers who preserve election evidence. Pardon and vindicate people like Tina Peters who acted to expose what the public had a right to know. So in conclusion, the people are not obligated to trust the system they refused to be checked. Keep going. So I wrote this under the idea that we are in a place right now where the only people that believe that we're in a system that is free and fair are retards, idiots, and those that are completely complicit in the behavior. They believe that, I won and I should have won. And if the system is corrupt and it's only corrupt over there, I don't have to worry about it. Now, in private, they talk about how bad it is, but in public, they hide the impropriety. And here I have this. I want to show you that the SAVE Act would be a first step. It'd be hard for Democrats in any state to win in the election if they had to play by transparent rules. Play it.
The other thing that we blocked yesterday was the SAVE Act, right? Which was to rig our democracy so that it would be hard for any Democrat in any state to win any election, and disenfranchise all married women in the meantime, by the way. It just, you have to show your birth certificate at the polls if you have a married name.
Yeah, it's just not true. What she said is not true. It's a lie. But it would make it difficult for Democrats to win. It would. It would also make it difficult for establishment candidates on the Republican side to also win. It's not just Democrats that have left the American people behind. It's largely Republicans as well. And as we talk about that, it's really important that we start looking at, because our guest is named Erik Holt. He was a fire chief that was fired for uncovering election fraud. Lindsay Graham. I don't know how I feel about him. Some people say that that he was a great guy. He did really good things for us. Maybe. But what did he really do? He was a warmonger that said that we should turn Gaza to glass. And then you're some of you that'll say, well, you know, Israel has a right to defend itself. Okay. The same could be said for if you were on the streets in New York and somebody shot at you, you just started shooting everyone behind him. I had a right to defend myself. He was shooting, so I had to shoot those people. You're responsible for your errant shots. But we don't seem to make responsible Israel for any of their errant shots. Innocent can die with impunity. We just don't care. We don't want to even cover it. And that's not saying that I'm a pro-Palestinian apologist. But at some point, you can't say that you turn an entire area and you turn an entire people into the enemy. I don't like what we did in Iran. I think it's necessary. But we also talked about vindicating and freeing the Iranian people. And if that wasn't a real thing, then why in the world did you have hundreds of thousands of Iranians that were in Europe that got together and stood on a stage and clapped for Lindsey Graham specifically? Well, Lindsey Graham is dead. Now I'm 71 years old, went over to Ukraine, came back and dropped dead, if you believe that narrative. So I had to put something up because I think it's all too inconvenient. I don't think that what we're dealing with right now is normal. Breaking and get ready for the mother of all coincidences. Lindsey Graham is dead after a brief and sudden illness. May he rest in peace. Now, here's the part we must pay attention to. He toured a drone facility in Kiev. Russia destroyed it soon after. Soon after that, Lindsey Graham died. So did he die in Kiev? Was the illness really a missile? Did the evil midget Zelensky blame Graham and have him killed? This is why we cannot have nice things. We do not trust the government, and frankly, we do not trust the narrative. How can we? So here's a poll. I'd really like to know how many of you actually trust the media narrative. Are we past the point where we think they lie about everything, or are we in a state of belief? Share. And there was a poll. I don't know what happened to it. It wouldn't actually share the poll. My point is this. You know, how do you feel about a 71-year-old man in Congress that can't get the SAVE Act passed, standing in direct opposition to what's happening in the Senate, to the people? I mean, 82%, 85% of the American people want the SAVE Act passed. And you got some demon Democrat stands on the stage and says, I got to block the SAVE Act. The American people have spoken. So then it's not a process that actually protects the American people. It protects those people that want to stay in office. That's not a democracy. That's not even a functioning government. That is a lawless society. Well, we're joined by Erik Holt. So let me just kind of go into this. Erik Holt went and he appealed, and it looked like, based upon the answers that the appellant judge stated, that it was going to go his direction. It was in May 2023 that Erik cooperated with a district attorney's office that was looking into election fraud and illegal electioneering. Now, you fast forward to this, he lost his job. He said, look, I have video evidence. I have audio evidence. It was clear. Everyone thought it was fraud, except for Michael Allen, who was a DA in El Paso County, who's running for AG in Colorado today. Well, the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals, because they basically dropped the case, After a U.S. District Court judge dismissed his claim, Holt appealed to the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 10th Circuit in Denver. On July 7th, a three-judge panel ruled 3-0 against Holt, concluding that providing the station's security footage fell under his official administrative duties as fire chief rather than protected private citizen speech. Now, the elections themselves, it wasn't his job to be an election person. He looked into the election because it's what we have a duty to do. Like, he was the fire chief. It happened on his watch at his facility. And so he wanted to get to the bottom of it as a private citizen because he wanted to know. He wanted to know, is this election legitimate? Well, let's just go ahead and bring him in. Erik, welcome to the show. It did not go well.
What's up, Joe? How are you, brother?
Oh, I just tired of having a conversation every day. It's like Groundhog Day. We talk about election fraud here, election fraud here. Everything's election fraud. You stand up, spend a bunch of money, lose your job, go through the process, whistleblow, only to be basically shown the door. Help me.
I wish I could. I'm sitting here as Colorado's have-not of the week, I think. So, as you like to say, I don't know the answer, man. I don't know what reality is anymore. But it is every day. And where are we getting with it?
So let's talk through that a bit. Let's work that problem. You went to an appeal. Now, the only other appeal you have now, I think you have to petition to get a writ of certiorari for the Supreme Court, writ of cert from the Supreme Court, correct?
Yeah, that would be, we could request a rehearing or an en banc rehearing, which would be the entire 10th Circuit group of judges. But, they did me pretty dirty in this. As an unpublished decision, it makes it really hard to even get to the next stage. So that's what I'm up against. And my attorney over at Mountain States Legal's, evaluating things since the fallout, basically, that happened, I think, Tuesday. So we're not even a week past. But, the other little trick is they put you up against the time frame. So I've got like 14 days from the opinion to file the next move. And I mean, it doesn't give much chance. So hopefully this week we'll figure it out. You know what I mean?
But here's the interesting part about it. Do we have it yet? Do we have the post? Can we put it up there? Do we have the post of their ruling? This is a post that you put up. Imagine the feeling of serving your entire life in the Army at 18, Iraq at 20, come home and spend 2 decades in public service where you swear an oath to your country and its laws and be told by a panel of judges you have no First Amendment. And yet here we are. They said you didn't have a First Amendment right to talk about what you saw. They could fire you for standing up for other people. No whistleblower protection at all.
That's correct. You got the other picture, the one where I highlighted if you want to show that, so that the audience can actually see the language of the court used.
There it is.
Yeah.
So let's read this really quick. In sum, taking a practical view and all its relevant facts, the court concludes Holt was, quote unquote, performing the tasks that he was paid to perform when he provided the surveillance video to Kramer and answered Kramer's logistical questions about the contents of the video. Thus, his speech was commissioned by his employer, and it enjoys no First Amendment protection.
That's my reality. That is what the second highest court in the nation just said to me.
So you have no First Amendment when you work for somebody else. You only have it when you're.
Yeah, I mean, in your opening, monologue, you talk about, what is logical, what is reasonable, right? I mean, I hear you talk about that a lot, and I want to break that down, but I want to walk the audience here. How did they even get to that, right? So you have court precedents. We're up against Garcetti, which if you are in your official capacity, i.e., what you're paid to do, right? So I was a fire chief. I think 99% of people, except for courts apparently, know what a fire chief's job is. So if I was acting in the role of being a fire chief, I wouldn't have First Amendment protections because the Supreme Court, back in the Pickering versus Board of Education or whatever, said that there is an avenue that the government needs to protect speech, right, or control speech of others. Okay, you can accept that in a very limited thing, but it's so expanded. So how did they get there? Well, like court procedure is a hurdle to begin with. So my court case went. I file my complaint. They motion to dismiss. So we're fighting against getting it dismissed, and then we go into discovery. The next thing that's filed was summary judgment. And boom, my case is lost. We got like one response to put stuff. And so what they did, and Fluorescent Fire is the defendant or appellee in this situation. They framed it and they minimized what I did so much. The reality and what I show on Justice for Holt, and I've documented for the last year, is I got a complaint the day of the election. I was at the fire station only because there was a CPR call. I'm there doing my job. Nobody would dispute that, like, performing CPR is what a fireman and fire chief does. So I'm doing that. The guy didn't live, so I had to go inform the family. I'm a local fire chief. When I come back to get my vehicle and get med supplies, a voter comes up to me and they show me a picture and they say, "Hey, I just overheard this poll watcher say, did you pay him? And is this the vehicle pulling in right now?" And like they're on their phone in the no electioneering zone. And that just lit a fire in me, man. And so I heard another complaint, I think the next day, and just decided, like, I'm going to find out. I can't live with like turning a blind eye. And make no mistake, I knew what my best option was, right? What was best in the selfish sense for me was to like turn a blind eye. These people that, just won this election are going to be my bosses. But I couldn't live with that, man. And so I went to this third-party company that owned all the servers and had installed the security cameras and all this stuff. And I said, "Hey, I need to do it." So everybody would understand that as a FOIA, or in Colorado, a CORA. And I obtained the footage. And so for a week, I think it was 5 days, I sat at my kitchen table after my kids were put to bed, before work, late into the night, watching very boring clips of high definition security cameras that captured an election for a week of my own time. I paid for it out of my own pocket to go retrieve this stuff as a citizen. When I was confident what I had, I showed the attorney for the district and the incumbent president, and I reached out to the DA's office, who launched a criminal investigation. I met with him, showed him the measurements of the station, identified the people, all this stuff. Well, they reframed that as not providing testimony. I just answered logistical questions, right? So everything I just described, they minimized down in the court opinion to an administrative task of a fire chief. They said, "Oh, well, the guy called you from the DA's office. You gave him what he asked for. That's just an administrative task of a fire chief. That's what you were paid to do. You have no First Amendment." And they backed that. There's a ton of problems in the opinion, but they backed it by saying, "Well, the record's really thin. There's not much to go on." That's the exact reason I was asking for remand. I have the evidence. Let me get it to the court, right? Don't cut me off in procedure and say, "Oh, your case is dismissed. You lost. You have no First Amendment." And back to the logical reasoning, man. The First Amendment exists to protect these things. Why would you dismiss it and set some sort of record in the courts without knowing the facts? And that's where I'm at. I'm so angry that the facts exist, the documents exist, the proof exists, and they don't care to ensure that they have that full record before they review it. Dismissed on procedure, get it out of here. It was an administrative task. You know, career public servant, Iraq war veteran, and the most important thing, single father. I was raising two girls on my own, man. You have no First Amendment. What happened to you doesn't matter. Goodbye. That's what I've been told. And it's so egregious. You talked about, the oral argument sounded very good for me. This was back in March. This is when I came and I actually got to see you, Joe. And I was on the show last. I gave you that flag, but the oral arguments went just so well for our side. And the biggest moment in that whole argument was the most recently published opinion binding precedents on this exact fact pattern in the 10th Circuit was in November. I'm sitting there in March. We bring it up. It's our argument. Here's how close this is. This is binding. This is controlling. Like this has to be the way that you view this. They ask the defense about the case and how she can defend against this precedent. She goes, I don't even know the case. I can't argue it. And in the opinion, the panel argues against me by the case that we cited and argued in our favor. And she couldn't articulate, but yet they cited it and used it against me. I mean, that's just out of like, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a judge, I haven't been in court 100 times, but I've been around it for the last 3 years of my life, and I've never seen that. And so why does that make any sense, man? Why would that be the outcome? You know what I mean? Let's remand it back. Let's look at the evidence. Come on. I got nothing to hide this whole time, but I'll never get that opportunity.
You might get that opportunity, but it's going to take another bit of a fight. And the lawyers that are looking at it right now you basically have 10 days left, right? 8 days, 9 days.
I think it'd be like 8. Yeah. I mean, there's time, but, if it's that's for a rehearing. If it's Supreme Court, I think we get 45 days, if I remember right. But I mean, when you talk about like the legal,
I mean, there's a monumental case though, because if you think about it, it's a First Amendment. They're basically saying you don't have a First Amendment right. And the way they framed it, they kind of moved the case dynamically to make it about something completely different than what it really was. And that is that they stole elections and they persecuted a whistleblower. Right?
Yeah. I mean, so Lane Franks was one of the landmarks. It's a 2014 case in the Supreme Court that kind of gated back. Well, not kind of, it did. From 2006, the Garcetti. So you went from like 1948, I think, in the Pickering versus Board of Education Supreme Court case to Garcetti, I think 06. And there was this gap that like they could just sort of say that it was your official duties and deny anybody First Amendment protections. Well, then 2014 Lane happens, and you can read in that the majority said there's laws that will protect whistleblowers, right? Well, in my case, I wasn't a state employee and I wasn't a peace officer, a cop. And I wasn't a federal employee, so I didn't get federal whistleblower protections. So there's no law in the state of Colorado that I could have used to say this is illegal except for the First Amendment, right? And that's why my fight has been pigeonholed into that. And yet, even with Timmons, that happened in November, who attorney-client privilege is one of the most sacred things in court, right? I mean, you have attorneys, right? You can say anything to them. Nobody can really pierce that. Timmons was a attorney.
Supposedly.
Yeah, I mean, I defeated it in my state court. I got all the documents from them, and I can't wait to be able to show those, Joe. But we'll hold that off for the state court battle. But Timmons was an attorney of a special district who said, this is not good. You're breaking the law by not taking my legal advice. Went out and talked to like a local newspaper and members of the community to complain about her board while they fired her. And she was able, in the opinion in Timmons, to get a reversal saying, oh, she has a First Amendment right. Because speaking to the public, that can't be misconstrued. It's outside of the chain of command, all this stuff. But yet, in my case, they just held that cooperating with law enforcement is not a citizen duty. Therefore, I mean, there's some fallout from this, Joe. Therefore, like I have to recommend to everybody out there, don't talk to law enforcement if you're talking about something that you're exposing at work because you're not protected. I have no whistleblower protections, man. And then, like, it's not even argued that I was a whistleblower.
How is that even real, though?
Because courts are based on opinion. That's probably our main problem, I would say, is like, I have opinions all the time, but nobody cares about them. But if you're a judge, like, it becomes the backing of how things are viewed. So, uh, I still, man, I'm a fighter. Far beyond, man. I probably should have quit 2 years ago, but I just don't have it in me. So the next step for me is like, there needs to be some work in the legislature. I need to go get with the legislature, and I know we know a few of them, and introduce some bills, because there's a gap in who can be a whistleblower. And apparently a local fire chief who directly says, my board is engaged in illegal activities, has no protection.
If you combine the cases together, though, if you combine the whistleblowing cases with the protections of uncovering fraud, there's a bigger play in this, and that is Michael Allen hid this information during this ordeal. His father had a law firm, and which was representing the plaintiff, or the defendant in this case.
Little correction. So it was his chief deputy district attorney who was the son.
Yes.
He's the guy that did it. But I come from the line of extreme ownership and leadership, man. And if it's your office and you're the head guy, something goes wrong in your building, Joe, that you're a business owner of, whose fault is it?
Mine. And I'll
every
handle it
time,
myself too. Absolutely.
Yep. And that's
so you can't be a public servant. You can't speak up about corruption, or you lose your career. And that's what they did to you. They took away your career.
Oh, yeah. I've lost everything, man.
And you were doing this just to push out the crimes that were committed by stealing elections. And it was, as we played it here, it was as cut and dry as you can get.
Yeah, I mean, I hope a lot of your followers are on there and I've seen it, but like, go to Justice for Holt Facebook. The videos are up. They're pinned to the top of my profile. I'm not law enforcement. I live in an objective world, man. People are bleeding, or they're breathing, or they're not, right? And so my job was always to fix what shouldn't be. And if you transpose that onto life, man, I think it's a natural thing that people that take an oath and like serve as a public servant, as long as I did, would say, there's something wrong. My job, objectively, as a public servant, is to fix that. Whether that be corruption, or that be somebody's bleeding on the sidewalk, you know what I mean, or somebody's loved one is sick and needs. It's all the same. It's how your brain works and how you think about things. And so, yeah, I mean, like, what you're saying, like, I mean, what's the path that is acceptable by the courts or by the law, where the person doing the moral thing and the right thing isn't the one that loses, right? That isn't victimized further.
Well, I think that gets down to the fundamentals of whether or not we have a free and fair system, free and fair elections. And we were just talking about the fact that no matter what happens, it favors the system. It doesn't favor the people. It doesn't matter who you are. You're a have-not. There's the minor league club and the major league club on the haves, and you're not in it, because that requires you to betray the very people that you represent in your community.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a tough week, man. I probably look exhausted because I haven't slept well, like, and I'm a symbolic dude, man. So I read my opinion at work at the office, and I came home, and I put this here today, this flag. Like, this is my mission flag from Ramadi, Iraq, back in like 06, man. But it represents to me like the symbol of everything I believe in. And so, like, I literally just like came home and sat with that flag of like, am I just an idiot? Like, is everything that I believe in just 2 degrees off? Or like, is it the system? You know what I mean? Like, I have lost everything. Seriously, like, my job, my career, my house. I'm on the verge of like having to file bankruptcy because of legal fees and being sued by my attorney, right? Those are the personal cost of it, which is what I just put my book out for is to talk about that. But it's been a long week, man, of trying to introspectively examine what my actual beliefs are. And are those shared? Are those the actual foundations of what this country was founded on? Or am I just that big of an idiot, man? And I just really don't have that answer.
I think that it's supposed to be that way, but the people that are in positions of trust and authority they're thieves. They're stealing from us, right? We're allowing it to happen. We need to fight back. The only way to fight back is to actually fight back. Let's talk about your book real quick. Can we put the book up, please? All right, we're gonna get the book up here in a second. You wrote a book.
Well, I mean, I could talk about it. I'm a fighter. I told you that. So literally on Tuesday, I get the ruling. I sit down. I read about it. I don't have a First Amendment right. Well, F you. I'll show you. And so I just press publish on my book to exercise my First Amendment. They said I don't have. But so that's why the speed at which it was published afterwards was a little bit of a dig. But I wrote it. I wrote it for two reasons. So I wrote it for my daughters, first and foremost, right? Like, I am the face of justice for Holt. I'm the face of like what everybody sees and hears me talk. But there's two true victims in this, and those are my two daughters, man, that lost their home, everything they know, their friends, their schools, the fabric of everything, right? And so I had to be very careful over the last 3 years of suffering as a person, but like not showing that as a dad, right? And I know you can relate, Joe. I mean, shit, you've been doing this for 6 years, right? And so it opens with a dedication to them and it closes with a closing line to them. But basically, that I wanted them to understand why their dad, despite all the losses and all the heavy cost to their lives, felt like it was the right thing, and that I would still today, 3 years later, do the exact same thing I did then, despite taking the L's, right? And then I have to get the story out that like this isn't a remember the Titans, right? Like you win the home Super Bowl or the home championship, man. Whistleblowers have to make a decision out there. Do the right thing and lose everything, or shut up and watch our system decay further. And I'm proud of myself, and I can still say that after the loss. I'm proud of myself for standing up for what I believe in. Whether that is shared by everybody out there that'll hear me talk, or I'm an idiot, it is true to who I am. And I'm proud for standing in that. But I wanted to put on paper that there is a cost. And I can document it down to the dollar and the hour of what that cost was, and stand here still a proud dude and face my two daughters and say, I'll give you guys the ending, the last synopsis of the book, but I end it with, integrity comes at a cost, and the toll is due every day in everything that you do. Pay the toll every day, and you will live with virtue. Love, Dad. That's how I end my book.
Well, I ordered your book in hardcover, and they sent me back something that said not available. So just so you know, it did say not available in hardcover.
So I had to fix a typo, so I re-uploaded the manuscript this morning. But it should be done now because I got the email. So if you try, it should order.
All right,
but that's my protest, man. I'm proud to put it out. I'm proud to give my girls, something that are the words from the soul of their father, that long after I'm here, or I'm gone, I'm sorry, that
are you going to do an audiobook version?
Well, tech guy, I don't know how to do that. I'm an idiot. So
well,
if you want to help me, I would love to.
You have to read it. So you have to register it with audiobooks, right?
Okay.
And once you register it with audiobooks, then you have to read it. So you have to do a sitting for the read. If you were in Colorado, I'd give you access to my studio to do the read. And you just read the book. and then they upload it into audiobooks, and then they make it available as an option on Amazon and other platforms.
Okay. I mean,
Basically,
Opposed.
in your voice, you read the book.
oh man, the poor listener having to listen to this. At least they don't know how to look at me, I guess, huh?
You have a face for radio, bro. Come on.
Yeah. I don't even know about that. But,
All right, I want everybody to go again. You can actually go and order the book. You should order the book. It is a long book. It is a long book. You can
Yeah,
get a
it's,
paperback for $21.99, and you can buy it on the Kindle for only $12.99, or you can get it in hardcover for $29.99. So go over there and support Erik, but you're going to want to read this. It's 371 pages long, but it is worth every bit of the read.
that's the ebook, the Kindle version. The hardcover and the paperback is I think
130.
271. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's raw, man. I left the real emotion of what the situation was, and there's a lot of details I haven't talked about on interviews that are in there because writing it on paper you really get to get it out. But I would love the support. I would need to sell 85 million copies to break even at this point. But my little tagline is buy a copy.
Let's get a bunch of these books out there, and let's get you talking about it more succinctly about it. But Erik, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. I'm sorry that you're going through it. I'm not sorry because taking this path it's not for the weak-hearted. And the one thing that I will tell you that if nothing else comes out of it, which I don't believe, I do believe you should take it to the Supreme Court. But if nothing else comes out of it, your children will know that you fought to the bitter end so that they can have opportunity in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. My daughter for the first time commented, I think this weekend, man, on my, I mean, they see everything, right? But she opened it up with, I mean, everybody can go on Justice for Bold on Facebook and see it, but opens up with, I never thought that this would be the day you'd quit, Dad. You know what I mean? Like, and you want to talk about some ugly cries, man. Like, it's emotional. It sucks, but I'm never going to be a victim, man. I'm going to keep fighting. So before we get off, Joe, I do want to, it's news this morning, and I'm still processing it a little bit. Right, but I don't hold hate in my heart for anybody. But sort of the main character of this whole saga apparently succumbed to a vehicle accident last night.
What?
And yeah, one of the people involved in the story. So I'm not going to name him because again, I don't want to give him any credence. But
Wait,
I
so
will say
somebody that was involved in this died?
I got a text this morning that they were involved in a major car accident last night and have passed away. So you and I can talk about that offline if you want, but I'm not going to put their name out there or who they are or anything like that. But like live righteous, man. I have to kind of take this as like, what are the odds here? Like a few days after this decision and everything like that, man. I know you closed with a prayer, man. Pray for their soul, and their I don't hold that hard. I'm free of that. And so, pray for their salvation, man, because life is a trip. And I'm just sort of like taken aback right now because of the timing of it. But live righteously, my brother.
That's all you can do. Erik, thanks, brother, for coming on. How do people follow you?
Justice for Holt. Facebook is the most active. I got the justiceforholt.com. Get my book on Amazon. If you want to support the fight, give, send, go, or GoFundMe Justice for Holt. But if you type in Justice for Holt, you'll find me.
All right, sounds good. God bless you, brother. I'm going to pray for you through the end of this, and again, I'll buy your book, and I want everybody else to do it as well.
Thank you, my brother.
All right, God bless you. You don't count. I wrote something this morning that about counting the costs, and purpose. It's the thing that I live my life by. And I'm not sure people understand the cost that you have for the things that you do. And it's a pesky little word, purpose, because people around you will look at you like you're a fool. They will. They'll say, you're a fool. I can't believe you would actually stand up for this. But purpose is how you exist. It's personal. And yet, purpose down to the DNA that you have is to win. You not win at all costs, but to count the costs of each and every time that you win. When I got into business decades ago, my thirst for winning was unquenchable. It drove me. And later in life, I realized there are only two things that made success possible: commitment and urgency. You cannot win without these two things. Without urgency, you can have no forward. You can't have any, you don't have anything you can look forward to. So urgency drives commitment. Commitment drives success. And as we kind of accelerate what's going on to the things that we have to fight against, this team evil, these things become even more important. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, I got a couple things I want to go over with you. But I just want you to know that operating purpose, it's not for the faint of heart. Doing what's right is never easy. It's just worth it in the end. So we'll be right back.
Oh, hi. I almost didn't see you there. Welcome to DCF Buns, where you can find the freshest buns in town, if I do say so myself. Our master bakers teach class every week. So whether you're new to baking or trying to improve your culinary skills, we got you covered. And we can help you bake the cake of your dreams. We'll even clean your cake if you want. And if you don't want to bake anything yourself, we have loads of fresh buns available in a variety of shapes and sizes. Check us out at dcfbuns.com to learn more. DCF Buns, we keep the buns hot and the deals hotter. Buns.
In every thread, in every stitch, Honor-Bound USA weaves the fabric of the American spirit. It's not just apparel, it's a testament to God, family, and country. At Honor-Bound USA, we're a family of patriots who put our faith, family, and America first. When you visit our website, you'll find a line of products that embody our commitment to pray, stand, speak, and act. As the official site for the Untamed podcast, all of our products proclaim speaking the truth with courage. We also have the powerful documentary from Professor David Clements, Let My People Go. Identify yourself as one of the few who are willing to stand for what they believe in. Join the Honor-Bound USA family today. Wear it as a badge of honor, commitment to the values that shape us, and a pledge to the bright future we will build together. Because when you're honor-bound, you're not just wearing a brand, you're embodying a lifestyle.
It'd be nice to see Congress do something about it. What do you recommend gets done? I mean, I think that the SAVE Act is a good starting point. Where do you stand on that, Senator? Do we have any hope of getting that passed?
No, we can't get that passed because you even have some Republicans that won't vote for it. We have to get this done. We will not win any more elections in terms of majorities if we don't pass the SAVE Act, because they bring in all these illegals and they're going to try to get as many of them to vote as they can. Then they have all these voting machines that are all crooked, out of Venezuela, by the way. They have a system that they can win elections. We probably have a dozen or so people up here in the House and the Senate that were elected illegally. They shouldn't be here because things were crooked in the elections. Just look at Nevada and Arizona and all these places that it's been proven, but nobody does anything about it. But I'll go back to the money that is being stolen. If you go back to the first 6 months I was here back in 2000, the Democrats had the majority, House, Senate, and the White House, and they did this first, CARES Act. We need money for COVID, $2 trillion. Well, what'd they do with that money? They sent it to all the blue states to pay off their debts because they had stolen so much money they could not function. And we're talking about 30-40 billion for California, 30-40 billion for New York, same thing for Chicago, the cities. I mean, it is a disaster, folks. You are being stolen blind. Open your eyes. Don't listen to these people that want to bring this country to a communist country, because that's where we're headed if we don't get to the bottom of this this nonsense of being able to steal something and nothing happened to them.
Yeah.
The elections are rigged. All of them are rigged. They're rigged. And that's not making something up. That's not hyperbolic. It's real. It's real. Primaries rigged. Outcome for it's nothing but theater. There's no part of what we're dealing with right now that is real. And I sit here and I say that to you, and I'm like, listen, every state is not 50-50. It's not like you have everybody walking around going, oh, you know, just another 50-50 vote. No. So we have this post where I put up in all elections in all 50 states are fraudulent, all of them. It's not 12. It's a large majority at every level of government in every state. And then you had this simpy little 9mm news. He's making fun of 9 News in Colorado. But put this up. Local man who likes to call for political executions fails again to bring receipts. It's the most Joe Oltmann thing we could see today. Now, just so you know, I put this up there and talked about this, but I had to check him. I had to check him because he puts it out there in order to give himself some credibility. He doesn't have credibility. Kyle Clark doesn't have credibility. None of these people have built anything in their lives ever. So his failed to bring receipts. He literally lives with his head in the ground and hides like a little, you know what, the most cowardly thing to do. And yet, let's not forget that he, she, it also regurgitates the leftist BS that I called for political executions. It's always the cowards. They do so good at being insignificantly insignificant. I didn't call for my political adversaries to be executed. I called for treasonous traitors to be executed. And I still believe it every single day. And every day, that's what I wake up to, thinking to myself, somebody just sharpen the knife or pull down the noose. Because what they've done to our state, what they've done to our country is not a victimless crime. And they continue to do it by telling us that we have to put up with these fraudulent kabuki theater elections. But I wanted to talk a little bit about Media Matters. So Media Matters went after David Clements. And so I had to say something about it because they went after David Clements said they should fire the entire EAC, and President Trump did. So go ahead and put it up. Media Matters is pathetic leftist trash publication. The people work there are nothing but weak, cowardly pieces of trash. It's not a publication. It's a sick fucks hangout of treasonous traitors. I said what I said, changed my mind. Look, I don't have any love lost for anyone on the radical left at all. I don't have any love lost for people that are on the radical right. They're both, frankly, the same to me. But the people that we deal with inside of our government, they have betrayed the people in such a way that is just, it's unbelievable. And every time we turn around, they lie about something else. Steve put up this post. He said, I asked that everyone please show Brian Cole Jr. and his family your support by following and sharing their page, ad-free Brian Cole, here on X. This is a two-front war to bring him home, this D.C. District Court and the American Court of Public Opinion. They let a CIA stooge off while attacking an at-risk American. And I put that post up. Kardashian Patel is pathetic. The reason why we don't trust the government is because the government is not trustworthy. They're liars. And the people that are in government, they're the worst of the worst people. President Trump's trying to sort through it, and sometimes he has to call bad people good people to just stomach and to get things across the finish line. But let's be honest. Show me what Lauren Boebert has done for the people of Colorado. Show me what Gabe. Let me show me what any Republican. What's worse than that is the Democrats. They're worse, way worse. Jason Crow is the biggest piece of trash this side of the planet. You want to talk about radical? This guy is radically. There's something radically wrong with him. We can't trust what they do and what they say because the system was designed to make you a slave. It is a lawless society, a bunch of nihilists walking around using that as an excuse not to do what they need to do in order to protect the community. They have betrayed you. It's pretty easy. The government trust is zero. And by the way, I'm not anti-American at all. There's no part of me that's anti-American. But when is it going to be? When is it going to be the time where we say, okay, we've had enough. We want transparent elections, and we want to stop the grift away from the American people. We need to reduce taxes by 90% for the American people. 90. They've taken enough. Let them go invest it, do whatever they want. Leave us alone. That's how bad it's gotten. Our education system is crap. Our healthcare system is a grift, takes from us what the equivalent of what you have to pay for a mortgage. And yet they come back and they want to attack businesses and say businesses need to pay more to their employees and everything else. The government doesn't. It doesn't do any of that. It just steals from you. Jira, Joe's right again. Joe would love to get a tech perspective on the Supreme Court geofence decision. I'll do that tomorrow. I'll do one on the geofencing decision tomorrow. It's crazy. It's crazy. It is crazy how the people always suffer because the decisions of the few. Pretty crazy stuff. All right. Well, we're going to finish up today. I've got a bunch of stuff I got to get done because I've got a bunch of stuff that you're going to want to see that's going to be happening here over the next month. It's going to be pretty exciting. You're going to love it. Promise. Jeff asks, Eric doesn't sound healthy. Is someone walking through this with him? Yes. Yeah, he's got lots of people on his side. I'm definitely on his side. He's doing fairly well. We just got to figure out how we can get him across the finish line. Live righteous, wise words, Eric. I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and more. We got lots of stuff going on this week. This is going to be crazy. We'll get Ivan Raikkonen to talk about the zombie Mitch McConnell. Is it really going to be Mitch McConnell? Or are we going to get a stand-in? A zombie? Who knows? But there was a sighting of Mitch McConnell. Let me see if I can. See if I can find it for you really quick. Yes, I think I found it. Hold on. Yeah, I did. I found a sighting of, maybe you can get this running for me here in a minute. I found Mitch McConnell. I'm going to have to retract the fact that I said he was dead. Because in the days of the undead, I'm wrong. I'm clearly wrong. Is it bad that I used to know that? Actually, I still know that that dance. Anybody that knew this song, you know this dance. It's like the new, Macarena from back in the day. AI prompt. You said we were going to share. Which AI prompt? It's good stuff. All right, we'll go over it tomorrow. Send me a message and we'll go over it. All right, let's pray it out. And let's pray it out, understanding this we're in a weird place right now, but we're going to win. And I firmly believe that President Trump has things under control, but we're going to have to contribute. There's going to be things that we're going to be forced to do. Many things. All right. Father God, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. Thank you for us being born at a time such as this and to be in the middle of this fight. This is I believe, one of the most righteous fights for all of us. And so I thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve and to be a part of the solutions to drive Team Evil back into the hole that it came from. Father, we ask for guidance. We ask for wisdom. We ask for you to bless us with the ability to have discernment and to see through some of the things that are being put in front of us and to see good from bad. Father, we ask you to give us the ability to stand together, set aside differences, and to squelch conflict in our communities that may come up, and to reject those people that make their individual ideals the thing that we have to run our communities by. Help us, Father, to be patient with each other and to be patient as we push forward to destroy this evil that is trying to consume us. We ask these things, Father, humbly in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, that's it. No more things on there. All right. I'll see you guys tomorrow bright and early. Remember, you are the ambassadors of truth. Kristen, good to see you. You are the ambassadors of truth. Go back, listen to it, play it, share it, do all the stuff that you currently do. And if you're on Roku, hi, I'm on the big screen with you. We got some other exciting things we're going to be pushing towards too. Go check out my Substack. Make sure you subscribe to it. It's been pretty crazy. I mean, the one that I'm going to put out today or tomorrow, probably tomorrow, the one that I'm going to put out tomorrow is going to describe the people involved in election fraud and uncovering election fraud. Erik was a fire chief. Never once has anybody said a bad thing about him. David Clements, a professor. I was a tech. I'll call myself a tech genius. I am a tech. You'd be hard pressed for any of my clients to not say that, man, the guy's wicked smart. You had John Eastman, who was a constitutional scholar. I mean, I could walk down like Jeff Lundberg, who worked for Sandia Labs and was one of the head engineers. Draza Smith, Sean Smith, Ash Epp. I haven't even gotten to Colonel Waldron, Robert Smith, Matt DePerno, Stephanie Lambert, Peter Tickton. These are all people that are strong men, strong women. We're not crazy. There's no crazy to it. Michael Gableman, Supreme Court Justice out of Wisconsin, who was ostracized. Sidney Powell, as much as I have mixed feelings over some of the things that she said and did in the case with me and stepped out of it, I'm still a little upset of her saying that I had a recording. But think about the people that are involved in this. We're not crazy. The crazy people are the institutional entertainment, what do you want to call them? Entertainment journalists or freaks like Heidi Beadle can't decide that he's a man or a woman. Or Eric Mabach, a guy that lives in an 800 square foot box and writes articles that seethe communism. I mean, no matter where you look, the people that are radically ridiculous are the ones that saying that we don't have credibility. And we're the only ones that have credibility. We're real people that held real positions of truth and authority in our communities, that served our communities. You're going to love this article I put out on Substack. Also, go ahead and check David Clements. He put an article out as well. Check his Substack out as well. Anyway, God bless you. Have a great evening, and I will see you tomorrow.
Rise up untamed in the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Break the mold, chase the real. No more games, time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Tame nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave